Something is shifting deep inside the Big Easy right now, and if you are a part of the Saints faithful, you can feel that specific tension in the air. We are chasing that elusive Super Bowl window, but the roster has been thinning out in ways that keep us up at night. For every real fan watching closely, the secondary has looked like a major question mark lately. But change is finally here. Before we dive into this massive roster move, make sure to like and subscribe to stay with the family. This one decision could change our entire season. Now, I want you to really think about the identity of our defense for a second. We have always prided ourselves on being tough, but losing Alontae Taylor to the Titans felt like a gut punch that nobody really wanted to talk about. We needed a solution, and we needed it fast. That is why the news of Martin Emerson signing with the New Orleans Saints is such a massive trigger for everything we are trying to build. This isn't just another depth piece or a random name off the street. We are talking about a 6'2" corner who was a massive part of the #1 pass defense in the NFL just 2 years ago. When he was with the Cleveland Browns in 2023, the guy was a ball hawk. He was locked down. But here is the thing that makes every Saints fan hold their breath. Emerson is coming off a torn Achilles. That is the kind of injury that can end a career or at least steal that elite twitch that makes a cornerback special. He missed all of last year. Think about that for a minute. We are taking a gamble on a player who hasn't seen live game action in over a year while trying to replace a starter who left for Tennessee. It feels like the front office is playing a high-stakes game of poker with our secondary. Now this is where it gets interesting because Emerson had other options. He could have gone back to Cleveland where he was comfortable, or even headed to Houston to join a rising Texans squad. Instead, he chose New Orleans. He saw the opportunity here. He saw that we have a massive hole at the cornerback position, and he wants to be the one to fill it. But honestly, the risk factor here is through the roof. If he isn't the same player we saw in 2023, our defensive backfield is going to be in some serious trouble. We are looking at a guy who had 4 interceptions and 14 passes defensed in his best year. If he brings that same energy to the Caesars Superdome, we might have just found the steal of the offseason. But the uncertainty is hanging over this facility like a heavy fog right now. We just hope that the medical team was correct about everything. When you look deeper into the roster, you realize why this move had to happen right now. We didn't really address the cornerback position in the draft in a way that gave anyone much confidence. Sure, we took Lorenzo Styles and TJ Hall, but let's be real. History tells us that Saints rookies usually take time to develop. We haven't had a rookie starter really break out since Marquise Colston back in 2006. So the pressure on Martin Emerson to be ready by week 1 is absolutely immense. Think about the kids we already have. Kool-Aid McKinstry is basically a lock for one of those spots, and we are all rooting for him to become that shutdown guy we know he can be. Then you have Quincy Riley, who showed some flashes last year as a rookie. But beyond those two, who do we actually trust? This is where the concern starts to set in for me. We are relying on a guy coming off a major injury and a group of young players who are still learning the speed of the NFL. It feels like we are walking a tightrope without a net. If Emerson can't regain his form, we are looking at a secondary that could get exploited by every high-powered offense in the league. And that's a terrifying thought when you consider our goals. The front office is clearly banking on Emerson's physical traits. His size is exactly what you want in a modern NFL corner. He can jam at the line and use that length to disrupt passing lanes. Can his legs hold up after the Achilles tear? That is the $40 million question. There is this hidden tension because we know the talent is there. We saw it when he was racking up 80 tackles and shutting down receivers in the AFC North. But the NFC South is a different beast, and our margin for error is razor thin. The fans are cautiously optimistic because we know we needed help, but there is this lingering fear that we might be putting too much weight on a player who is still recovering. It is about the chemistry of the entire defense. If the corners cannot hold up, the pass rush does not even matter. Everything is connected in this scheme always. But this is where things change, and we have to look at what this really means for the trajectory of our franchise. This isn't just about one player. It's about a philosophy. The Saints are notoriously aggressive when it comes to finding talent in the secondary, and Emerson represents that all-in mentality that we both love and fear. Because this could become something much bigger than just a simple signing. If Emerson returns to his 2023 form, he doesn't just replace Alontae Taylor. He might actually be an upgrade. Remember, in 23, he was a key contributor to the top-ranked pass defense in the entire world. That kind of experience is something you can't teach. But we also have to look at the 2024 season before the injury. His production actually dipped a little bit. His passes defense went down, even though his tackle numbers went up. That tells me he was being targeted more, or perhaps he wasn't closing the gap as quickly as he used to. And that was before the Achilles injury happened. So we are looking at a player who was already showing some signs of a plateau. And then he suffered the worst injury a professional athlete can face. And that is the biggest question facing Kellen Moore and the coaching staff. How much do you push him in training camp? How much do you trust that he can handle 77% of the defensive snaps like he did in Cleveland? The emotional escalation here comes from the fact that we don't have a plan B. If Emerson is a bust, we are back to square one with a bunch of unproven rookies and journeymen like Isaac Yiadom. The Super Bowl pressure is real in New Orleans, and every single move is scrutinized because we know the window isn't open forever. We are desperate for stability. We are desperate for a playmaker who can take the ball away and give it back to our offense. Emerson has shown he can do that. He had those 4 interceptions that proved he has the instincts. But instincts only take you so far if your body isn't responding. The tension in the building must be incredible as they wait to see him move on the grass finally. I'm going to be honest with you all because I think you deserve the truth from a fan's perspective. This move actually worries me a little bit, even though I love the talent Emerson brings to the table. I really like this move if we were talking about a healthy player, but the Saints have a history of taking these big swings on guys with major injury red flags. Sometimes it works, and sometimes it leaves us scrambling for answers in the middle of October. I think fans should pay attention to how he moves in the preseason. This could be incredible for us if he stays healthy, but if he loses that step, our defensive scheme could fall apart. I want to believe that he is the answer. I want to believe that he is going to walk into that facility and instantly become the leader this young secondary needs. We lost a lot of veteran presence recently, and Emerson has 50 games of NFL experience. That matters. But there is a fine line between a genius move and a desperate one. When I look at the film from his time in Cleveland, I see a guy who plays with a lot of heart and isn't afraid to get physical in the run game. That fits the New Orleans identity perfectly. We want dogs on this defense. We want guys who are going to fight for every inch. But we also have to be realistic about the recovery process. An Achilles isn't a sprained ankle. It changes how you jump and how you pivot. I'm cautiously optimistic because the reward is so high. If we get the 2023 version of Martin Emerson, we just fixed our biggest weakness for pennies on the dollar. But if we don't, we are going to be asking ourselves all season why we didn't do more in the draft or free agency to secure the position. It feels like we are betting the entire season on a medical report. I hope the trainers are right. I hope the coaches see something in him that suggests he is back to 100%. Because if he is, the rest of the league is in trouble. But until I see him shadow a star receiver, I am going to have that pit in my stomach forever. The story of the New Orleans Saints secondary is far from over, and the arrival of Martin Emerson just added a massive new chapter filled with both hope and uncertainty. We are standing at a crossroads where one player's health could dictate the success of the entire defensive unit. The future is uncertain, and that is exactly what makes being a fan of this team so emotionally exhausting and rewarding at the same time. We are all waiting to see if this gamble pays off, or if we are going to be left wondering what if as the season progresses. Something bigger is still coming. You can feel it in the way the front office is operating right now. They aren't done building this roster, but this might be the most pivotal piece of the puzzle. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Martin Emerson is the true replacement for Alontae Taylor? Or are you worried about that Achilles injury like I am? Is this the move that solidifies our path back to the playoffs? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one of them. We need to stick together as a fan base through these ups and downs. If you bleed black and gold, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat of this journey. We are the Saints faithful for a reason. Let us get ready for what is coming next.